The 2004 Mean Girls movie is an iconic classic. It's got Lindsay Lohan, Rachel McAdams, Tina Fey, Amanda Seyfried. I had never seen this movie or the Broadway musical adaptation of this movie. They came out in 2018 before seeing the 2024 adaptation of the movie and the musical last week. I watched the 2024 movie of Mean Girls because I knew the original was such a classic, and I guess this was as good a time as any to hop on the Mean Girls trend. After watching the 2024 movie, I was like, great, this movie is good. I like the characters, the acting was good, the singing was good. I gave it a 2.5 out of 5 on my Letterboxd. I would definitely have categorized it under a movie musical, or maybe even a movie that happens to have singing in it. I rated it a 2.5 because though it was a solid movie, it felt like I had seen it before. I had seen this cliche high school situation, it felt predictable, and the musical elements of the movie were not as memorable as expected. But I did enjoy the movie, and I have been obsessed with the soundtrack since. My biggest question after seeing this movie though was, how did this movie, is it a franchise at this point? How did this franchise become so popular? This is just a movie. And then I watched the original Mean Girls and went, oh, I see now, I understand. The original Mean Girls from 2004 has an 84% on Rotten Tomatoes. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5, and it's truly iconic. The quickness of the lines in the original is crisp and witty. It clearly has a very 2004 vibe and aesthetic to it, and I'm wondering if that is why some of the lines feel more genuine and natural to the characters. I wanted to understand why this movie became so iconic and gave birth to a literal franchise. I wanted to understand better, too, why the new movie just didn't land as much as the original movie did, even though I saw the new one first and the original second. The original version of Mean Girls, I feel like, can be watched by all ages. Though it takes place in high school, there aren't that many things that are referenced to in that specific time that only individuals who grew up in that time would understand. Of course, I did say that it has a 2004 aesthetic with the wardrobe, the corded phones, that kind of thing, but high school is for the most part considered a universal experience for a lot of people, and I think the 2004 Mean Girls did a really good job at capitalizing on that and not really excluding any one age group. The 2024 movie, I would say, was a bit more niche in how it presented itself in this time and who it was targeting. The 2004 movie was so iconic that you could have taken advantage of nostalgia and gotten away with making a subpar movie more passable than another movie because of the strong fan base. There was a mixture of nostalgia combined with an extremely modern delivery of the movie. There was a lot of TikTok online influencer looking stuff. We had some well-known online influencers delivered in a format that I would say younger people mainly are very familiar with. Vertical phone video, quick cuts, that kind of thing. This delivery choice does exclude some individuals who aren't totally tapped into that culture now. I would say that I'm pretty familiar with modern influencers, TikTok, creator content stuff, and this delivery still felt more niche than I think I would have liked. For the most part, a lot of the shots were the exact same. I'm thinking the main reason for this is probably just so that we could get a musical element with the Mean Girls movie. I think that is worth something, especially because individuals who are not really into Broadway probably would never have seen the Broadway musical of Mean Girls. It did just feel confusing when I watched the original and realized that most of the shots in the new one are remakes of the old one. For someone who didn't grow up on the original movie, after watching the original, if I was gonna rewatch a Mean Girls movie, it was gonna be the one from 2004. Not to say that I didn't enjoy the 2024 movie, the original just feels more classic and like a story that I want to watch. We get more genuine time with the characters. It doesn't feel like in the 2024 movie we were able to truly connect with some of the characters when they are singing. This might be due to the song, just due to the musical format, just because the songs did not really feel like they moved the story along, though I've honestly listened to the album on repeat since the movie. I don't think the songs in the movie meshed as well as it should have as a musical movie, and made me question why it needed to be a musical movie. Sometimes it felt like the music was actually taking away from the moments that we could have spent more time with the characters and getting to know them better. People are oddly shocked that this movie was a musical. I do look back at the marketing and it didn't really seem that it was blatantly advertised as a musical, I guess. I kind of just assumed it was though, but I also hadn't seen the original, so I didn't really have a frame of reference to what a Mean Girls movie would look like. The music was fun. I think it was more successful when it was introducing a character or when it was a song that was describing what a character was feeling. I think of Janice's song after she says her apology. A lot of the other songs felt like fluff, fillers, and did not move the story along enough that I cared for. The songs that got stuck in my head the most were My Name is Regina George and Apex Predator. It felt like there was so many songs that did not really fulfill much of anything. I almost feel like there were so many songs but not enough at the same time. I also realized this is an adaptation of a Broadway musical and you're able to fit more songs into a Broadway musical, I would say the songs are more enjoyable just as songs rather than being in the movie. Even if it's not the best musical movie, it does bring a certain medium of performance that people who aren't interested in Broadway would never see. I wanted more time with the characters, maybe cut some songs that didn't really add to the story and add songs that really help us learn more about the characters. I did like the stylistic choices when characters are singing to make it very artistic with the lighting, the background dancers. I know everyone is talking about the original performances, the new performances, comparing it all. I will say the original cast absolutely nails it. It's iconic, it's classic, it feels effortless. The new cast is not as iconic as what Rachel McAdams was in the 2004 movie or Lindsay Lohan, but they are still great performances. I honestly believed everything that was happening. I believe that the characters were truly feeling what they were saying or even singing. The 2024 movie received a 70% on Rotten Tomatoes. I think that's pretty accurate and lines up with my feelings on the movie. I think this movie was good, but just could have come closer to being iconic, similar to the original. Though it's not possible to be as iconic, I think it could have meshed both movie and musical and had more effect that way.